What makes a great quarterback, like Johnny Unitas, who some say was the greatest of them all? Bart Starr, hard-working, dedicated, the great leader of Lombardi's pack. Joe Namath, who started as a rookie and later led the Jets in the AFL to their first Super Bowl win. Don Meredith, a man of courage and much natural talent. Billy Kilmer, a fierce competitor with an unending will to win. Or Terry Bradshaw, whose strong arm and quick release have repeatedly led the Pittsburgh Steelers to the Super Bowl. There have been many who have earned a special place in football history. They all had their own style, their own approach to the game and to life. But they all had one thing in common. They were leaders of men. At different times in their careers, they were losers as well as winners. But through perseverance and self-discipline, they overcame countless obstacles. Their attitudes and confidence in themselves gave them the ability to lead men in team play.
Hello, I'm Roger Staubach. In all my years of quarterbacking, the number one ingredient that's led to my success is coaching. Recently, I owe that to Tom Landry, the Dallas Cowboys, and our offensive coordinator and my quarterback coach, Dan Reeves.
Thank you, Roger. You know, Roger had certain qualities that have helped him become one of the great quarterbacks of all time. And we'll talk about some of these later, but right now we want to talk about you and what we feel like can help you become a quarterback. Now, Roger and I both get a lot of letters asking various questions about being a quarterback. How can I strengthen my arm? You know, how do I set up to throw the ball? I think one of the best ways to answer these is just start right out with the basics. You should always start every practice or drill with a warm-up procedure, the same as we do. Now here we are in training camp in Thousand Oaks, California, where every practice starts with 5 chins and 2 laps. That's 880 yards for everyone on the team, including the quarterbacks. Now speed is not the important thing, so take it easy. What we're trying to do is to get the heart pumping and the blood circulating. Now, our calisthenics program is probably somewhat different than yours, but that's okay. The important thing to remember is that you have some type of warm-up program you stick to and do faithfully before you start throwing the ball and doing your drills. Without being thoroughly warmed up from head to toe, you will be much more vulnerable to muscle pulls and injuries. And as a quarterback, you could permanently injure your back or arm by throwing cold. Now, as you grow older, your body will require more warm-up. So you younger players, adopt a rigid warm-up program, get into the habit now, and stick to it. Some guys are naturally more limber than others. If you happen to be more stiff than the guy next to you, don't let it bother you. Work hard to stretch as far as you can. As time goes by, you'll find yourself improving, stretching further than ever before. Now, some of these guys couldn't do all of these exercises properly when they first came to camp. That includes Roger. But perseverance and hard work prevailed, and today they're doing things they never knew they could. And because of that, they are less likely to be injured.
Spend a lot of time every day. Come on, Bruce, get a little bounce there. Let's go to work, Salty. There's going to be talking.
Right on, go.
Right on, fast, right. Try to hit that ground right. Stretch it as far as you can. That's going to get more flexibility, and we're wasting a lot of valuable time.
These leaping exercises are designed to strengthen the legs and lengthen the stride so that while running at maximum foot speed, the player will cover more ground. This shoulder roll drill trains you to come up off the ground running. If you're going to play football, believe me, you're going to get knocked down. So it's important to train yourself to come up running. You may be able to get back into the play. Running is a fundamental part of the game, and these drills can greatly improve your performance in that area. Now that you've completed what I'm sure you'll agree is a pretty thorough warm-up procedure, it's important for us to get into some of the things that we think are very important for a quarterback. First of all, a quarterback must have very strong hands. A good way for you to strengthen your hands is through a very simple drill. As a quarterback, you will handle the ball more than any other player on the field. You take the snap from center. You hand off to the running backs. You throw the ball sometimes in a crowd. And you will have to run with the ball occasionally, like it or not. So learn to handle it under all conditions. Here are Danny White and Roger demonstrating some hand drills that will help strengthen your grip. Now do each of these drills for 15 seconds, starting by dropping the ball and quickly catching it in rapid succession with your right hand. Do this for about 8 seconds, and then switch to your left hand. Then pass it back and forth in front of you. Get good arm extension here so you simulate the motion of handoffs and pitch outs. This drill will help you develop your forearm strength. Make that football your best friend. Keep it in your hands as much as possible. Get totally accustomed to handling it from every angle. Now pass it around your body and legs, alternating directions. And as you get better, increase your speed. Again, we're building finger strength and agility. You can do all of these drills in your spare time, but be sure you do them at least once a day. Now, when you've completed all 3 of these drills, just do them in a combination for another 15 seconds. It's important to have a partner to work out with if that's possible. Now, that added competitive spirit will help you get more out of the drills that you see in this film. Strong hands developed by these drills come into play many times for the quarterback. Now watch carefully the exchange here between Roger and center John Fitzgerald. Roger's quickness and strong hands enabled him to salvage this play by catching the snap in midair. Now here's the same play from another angle. Now this could happen 5 or 6 times in a game, so work to strengthen those hands. One of the best methods we've found for a quarterback to strengthen his arm is working with a medicine ball. Stand 7 to 8 yards from your partner and throw the ball back and forth overhead. Be sure you start out with a medicine ball you can handle easily. Keep it high and follow through as you release the ball. This simulates the throwing motion. As you get stronger, you can move up to a heavier ball. Now sometimes these guys will take a shot in the chest with the ball. Because believe me, it's good practice for when the real thing comes along. As a quarterback, you will be hit several times in a game, so you'll have to be in shape to take that kind of punishment. Now, we also set up a pair of slant boards so our quarterbacks can do this particular drill. Again, this is a conditioning drill for your throwing arm and for toughening up the stomach and lower torso. Now, Danny and Roger, believe it or not, do 50 of these every day. It's hard work, but I guarantee you it's necessary preparation for the day of reckoning. The medicine ball drills are just a part of an overall weight and conditioning program. In 1970, the Cowboys initiated a strenuous weight training schedule. It went beyond the regular season into the off-season, covering 10 months out of the year. We have found that it helps prepare us for a long season. You know, we play 20 games before the playoffs even get here, and we know that our weight program has contributed greatly to reducing injuries during the season. Bob Ward is in charge of our weight training and conditioning, and Roger talked with him at training camp in Thousand Oaks.
As a quarterback, it's important to get your arm in shape. You go to training camp, when you start throwing, you don't have a sore arm. It's already developed, it's in shape, you're ready to go. And that's true for your body also. When you get to camp, you've got to have your body in shape. It's got to be ready to go so you can work on the fundamentals and the basics of football. And that's what we believe in Dallas, and I'd like to have Bob kind of explain our overall program to you.
It's a total conditioning program, recognizing the fact that conditioning is not something that happens all at once. It takes many, many months of training, at least 5 or 6 months prior to your sport. And we go to camp based upon many, many months of hard training. So it's building during the preseason, and then it's maintaining during the season. When you come to camp to play football, not to get in shape.
Do you think it's important for, each quarterback that they should, have a program set aside by someone who knows what they're doing, and they don't want to just go out and lift weights and take the chance of, stretching their back or hurting their back or doing too much with their arm? I guess they should go to someone that knows something about weights.
Well, there are a lot of coaches, there are a lot of physical educators, and there's some people in the strength business that can give them good counsel and advice. If that is not available, then there's always the literature available in books, at the library, or what have you, to get started if you have to do it yourself.
I've been involved in every aspect of weightlifting, and I really haven't built up my arms to a point where they've hindered me as far as throwing the football. I have added some bulk to my arms, but I've added muscle endurance also, and really I think I've noticed a difference the last 3 years as far as throwing the football. I can actually throw stronger, and I have the endurance, and I guess it's directly related to the weightlifting program.
Well, it definitely is. If you look at it from the standpoint of you're developing tissue strength. Quarterback, if he develops tissue strength, and if he does specific activities that will help work the range of motion through essentially the same patterns you're going to have on the field, you're going to improve, and you're going to be stronger.
A quarterback does take punishment. You're going to have to take some punishment. If you don't have the basic strength to do that, you're going to be sore after the game, a few days into the practice the next week, and you can't throw as well as you should, and therefore it's going to affect you the next week. So weights are good for you as far as taking punishment, and they've also helped me to keep my arm in shape, and I've been able to throw the football at my age a little stronger than when I was young.
Now here we have a drill that develops the proper throwing technique as well as strengthens your throwing arm. Concentrate on keeping the ball high with both hands and following through when you throw. Younger quarterbacks should never be more than 10 yards apart. Older quarterbacks can move back to about 20 yards apart as you warm up. In this play, you'll see Roger use little more than pure arm motion to throw the ball. Now this situation will come up time and time again, so remember to practice daily from the kneeling position. Now, while standing with your legs spread about shoulder width, go through the same throwing motion. This will not only help strengthen your arm, but it'll increase the strength of your torso for those times when you can't step up to throw the ball.
You're working this drill, it's good to put a little target up there for accuracy also. Just hit that target. Get your partner to put one up and just fire away.
Nothing will ever substitute for just throwing the ball with a friend. But these drills can isolate and improve weaknesses in the throwing motion. So do them every day.
My partner's pretty accurate right now. He's hitting right there. Watch this, right there. Up, a little bit off. That's why he's a backup man.
But really, all kidding aside, as you see here, developing your torso strength is very important for those times when you can't step up to throw the ball. Unfortunately for the quarterback, because of the 6'6", 6'7" defensive ends that they play against, they don't allow you to set up, throw the ball all the time. So you must practice as a quarterback being able to throw the ball on the move. Start about 10 yards from your partner, and as you move up and down the field, throw the ball back and forth. Now, whether you're moving to your right or left, concentrate on keeping your shoulders square with an imaginary line of scrimmage between you. Again, keep the ball high so you develop a quick release and work on not throwing across your body. It takes many hours of practice to perfect throwing on the run, so stay after it. As you warm up, you can move further apart. Now here's Roger having to leave the pocket and throw on the run. Now he's done the drill you just saw so often he doesn't even have to think about squaring his shoulders with the line of scrimmage. It just comes natural for him. And that's what you're working for. Doing these drills constantly until the techniques involved become a natural part of your game. You know, a quarterback has many key leadership responsibilities, but there's none probably more important for an offensive football team than his control of the huddle. The more crucial the situation, the more suggestions you will get from everybody in the huddle. Everyone always thinks that they are open. They always think that they can make the big play. So as a quarterback, take control. Stick to the game plan. Only you should be talking in the huddle. As a quarterback, it's important that you stay away from the huddle until the plan of attack has been decided. Once you're clear on what to do, step into the huddle and call the play with authority. Control builds confidence. Be the leader in there.
22 fullback lead, on set.
Once you've called the play, break the huddle with authority and get up to the line of scrimmage. Now comes one of the most important aspects of an offensive team, the snap. No matter whether it's a run or a pass, the play has to start with an exchange between the center and the quarterback. Back here at Thousand Oaks, you can see we've got all our quarterbacks lined up taking snaps from 4 different centers. We spend countless hours doing this before and after practice because this is an important drill. Each center snaps the ball a little differently, and the quarterbacks must be accustomed to each individual style.
And when a quarterback is working out, he wants to come as close as possible to game conditions. You want to have receivers that move, moving targets when you're out there working out, and you should always be setting up at your proper depth and throwing to these moving targets. But a center is critical to you. He gets the play started, and we've got a great one in Dallas, John Fitzgerald, and Fitz gets us going, and he also has to snap here in Dallas the spread formation, and I can usually get in a comfortable stance behind Fitz, but we want to now demonstrate just the basics as far as quarterback and center is concerned. It's going to be difficult to show you underneath the center, but for a quarterback, you want to keep your hands together. You don't want to have them split apart where the ball can come through. You want to have your hands together, and depending on your center and how your coach wants you to do it, you might be straight ahead, you might be off to the side. In Dallas, we have my right hand, of course, is always on top, and the bottom hand is my left hand. The center should always snap the ball against that top hand. If you hit that bottom hand, the ball can spin off your fingers and you might lose it. If it hits the top hand, the worst that can happen is this left hand has to grab it. The quarterback and the center have got to have a good exchange or the play is no good.
Now, there are many ways to teach a quarterback-center exchange. So however you're taught, practice it daily. Now, when you're at the line of scrimmage, it's important that you develop correct habits. Put your hands under the center immediately upon getting to the line of scrimmage so that you don't give away your quick count plays. Scan the defense. Don't just look at the point of attack. Look in both directions. Disguise your plan of attack and pick up any tips you can regarding the defense. It's important to be consistent with your habits at the line of scrimmage so that you don't tip off to the defense what's about to happen. There are a couple of other important points, and here's Roger to explain.
The first thing a quarterback has to do is learn how to hold a football. When you're throwing a football, you don't want to squeeze it to death. You want to keep your hand on it where there's just a little bit of air in between your palm of your hand and the football. You can hold on to it firm, and you might not have that little pocket in there, that little pocket of air, but you don't want to squeeze it to death. You don't have to squeeze it to death. You also can maybe put a couple of fingers on the threads. Sometimes when I'm throwing a deep pass, I move my hand back a little bit on the football, but get comfortable on the ball, depending on the size of your hand. The other thing that I think is essential for you is being comfortable in your stance. When you're underneath the center, you want to have your feet parallel. You want them basically underneath your shoulders. And then you have to get in a good, comfortable stance. When you get into the stance, you're going to bend your knees somewhat. Your back is going to be fairly straight. The reason for this, you always want to keep your head looking downfield. If you have a center that's real low, you're going to have to bend your knees more. You don't want to bend your back down to the center because you're looking down at his back. You can't see anything that's going on downfield. There's no need to look into the back of a center. You have to be looking downfield. So you want to bend your knees a little bit more, your back straight, and your head's looking downfield. One of the amazing things about quarterbacking is when you take the snap from center, and you even see it at the professional sometime, he's looking down into the back of the center. There's no need to do that. You can be looking, scanning the defense at all times, seeing what's going on over there in defense. You can pick out amazing things over there. The more you know that's automatic in quarterbacking, the more that you'll have an understanding of the people and what they're doing on defense. But this is a quarterback stance. Feet underneath your shoulders, parallel, knees bent, back fairly straight, looking downfield.
Now that you're under the center scanning the defense, you're ready to bark out the signal. Crowd noise or the defense may cause interference with your cadence, so you must be loud and distinct. Keep the same rhythm, unless your coach has given you a non-rhythmic count.
Hot! 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 With 3, set, blue, 88, hot! Hot! Hot!
You must be heard above the crowd, especially at crucial moments. So develop a loud, distinct cadence, even in practice.
Another key area that we would like to cover is ball handling for the running game. Now, there's so many different types of offenses, we can't cover them all. What we'd like to do is really give you some of the key coaching points for ball handling in general.
Once you get the snap from the center, keep 2 hands on the ball. When you get the relationship to the offensive back for the exchange, look the ball in. The responsibility for a good exchange is yours, not the running back's. It's his responsibility to provide the proper pocket to receive the exchange. Once you have made the exchange, it's important for you not to be a spectator. Carry out your fake. To turn around and watch the back run with the ball is one of the most common mistakes made by a quarterback, including some of the best. Bad habits like this are picked up when you're young. When you see Roger and other quarterbacks like Terry Bradshaw make these mistakes, they're doing them because it's natural for them, a habit that really wasn't corrected early in their careers. So discipline yourself now to carry out the fake and help freeze the defense. That fake may give your running back the extra split second he needs to break the play.
Now we get into an area that all quarterbacks are interested in, particularly if you're in a pro type of offense. Of course, we're talking about the passing game.
Here are Roger and Danny demonstrating the various setups with Butch Johnson and Jay Saldi. The setup is one of the keys to a successful passing game. Taking the snap and setting up quickly is important because the setup must be timed with the route being run. If you're right-handed, push off the left foot. Of course, it's just the opposite if you're left-handed. Ideally, you should do this without taking a false step with your left foot. When you start your drop, keep the ball chest to shoulder high, taking comfortable steps to keep your balance. Now, if your stride is too long, you'll have a tough time stopping and setting up. Keep your head turned downfield so that you can see what's happening across the line of scrimmage, both right and left. Now watch Roger dropping back. He keeps the ball high, he looks downfield, and then he steps up to throw the ball. Now, here's the short set, the three-step setup used to throw the quick routes. Push off the proper foot, keep your head downfield and the ball high. On your third step, hit about 5 yards deep, step up and throw the ball. Here's how it looks in a game situation. Roger throws a little jump pass from this short set. Throwing from the kneeling position pays off again. Notice here he's looking downfield. The ball is kept high, and on his third step, he turns to throw the ball. The medium set is a 5-step setup used to throw the medium routes, the streak routes, and to the backs. Push off the proper foot, keep your head turned downfield, and keep the ball high. On your fifth step, hit about 7 yards deep, step up and throw the ball. This is what the medium set looks like from the bench. 5 steps back takes you 7 yards deep. Keep the ball high, look downfield, step up and throw the ball. The deep set is the 7-step setup used to throw the deep outs and ins and routes to your tight ends. Push off the proper foot, keep your head downfield and the ball high. On your 7th step, hit about 10 yards deep, step up and throw the ball. Here again is the real thing. Keep the ball high while dropping 10 yards deep. Look downfield so you can see your receivers. Step up and throw the ball. The deep set is also used to set up the screen pass as you see here. But be sure you keep your head turned downfield until you throw so you don't give the play away. Backing out is used by some quarterbacks because it gives them a better overall view of the defense. It's important that you push off the proper foot, keep the ball high and in front of you. On your 3rd, 5th, or 7th step, step up and throw the ball. The Dallas Cowboys are unique in that we pass from the shotgun formation. Now here we use 2 setups. One that takes us to 7 yards deep and another that takes us to 10. And we have to spend many hours on our setup for the shotgun because it's different than when we're under the center. It's important that the quarterback stay at 5 yards deep until he has caught the ball. Once he has the ball, he takes 2 steps to get to 7 yards, or 4 steps to get to 10. The basic techniques are then the same. Now let's look at the basics once again. Make sure you are completely warmed up before you start throwing or doing your drills. This will reduce the possibility of injury. Do your hand drills faithfully. Get comfortable with the ball. Working with a medicine ball will develop torso strength and proper throwing motion. It's important to practice daily from both the kneeling and standing position, again to develop the right throwing motion. Practice throwing on the move. Remember not to throw across your body. Work with your center on the snap. It should be second nature to you. Remember to scan the defense. Develop a loud, distinct cadence. Work on the running game. Look the ball in and carry out your fake. Remember to keep the ball high and your head downfield and practice the various setups. Okay, there it is. You have now seen the drills, the techniques, and the basic fundamentals that we feel like are important in helping develop you as a quarterback. But it doesn't stop there. Roger has taken these same drills, techniques, and fundamentals, and through dedication and self-discipline, has developed into one of the top quarterbacks in professional football. He fits Tom Landry's description of a quarterback to a T.
Dynamic leadership is probably the most important trait a quarterback has. He has to exemplify the type of attitudes that cause players to follow him. So therefore, he must be a very positive individual. He must also be dedicated. He must set a great example for himself, because if he's going to lead players, he must do his job in a way that will encourage them to do theirs better. I think a player must be very much self-controlled. If he's not able to handle a situation when everything else seems to be falling apart around him, if he's not able to rally a team back to success, then there's very few chances that you're going to have a very successful team. So you'll see a quarterback demonstrate a great desire to win. And if he doesn't have that, if he can't show that to his teammates, then very seldom can he be a very successful quarterback. So the fact that he has to work hard to set the example for everyone, the fact that he must lead them, is probably the most important thing a quarterback can have.
But Roger Staubach didn't become a top pro quarterback overnight. He's been working at it for a long time, since he was a young boy.
It all starts here and on thousands of football fields like this all over the country. It's where the quarterbacks of tomorrow learn their future skills. I've seen Roger Staubach play a lot of football games since he first came into the National Football League in 1969. I'm Frank Lieber, CBS Sports.
When he first came to the Cowboys, Roger was just out of the Navy, a 27-year-old rookie. With the exception of a little service ball, Roger hadn't really thrown a competitive pass since the College All-Star game of 1965. There were a lot of people who said he couldn't make it back after 4 years. They didn't know much about Roger Staubach.
Roger Staubach, by every definition, is a champion, and there are many reasons why. There are intangible ones, such as desire and dedication, and we'll talk about those a little bit later. But there's some very tangible ones, too. Let's talk about one right now. Staying in shape. Roger Staubach stays in shape, and I mean all year, every year.
We talked to Roger about it.
I try to run at least 2 miles a day, and I try to do it in a pretty good time. I try to stay in the 14-minute mark, and by the time I get to training camp, I'm around 13 minutes for the 2 miles. So it's about 6:30 pace per mile when I finish. But when I start the program after the season, I'm running at about a 7 to 7:15 mile, and I run at least 2 miles a day, and some days I'll go a little bit farther. Through 4 quarters, you've got to have the same intensity at the end as you do at the beginning, so you have to be in shape. The overall base of running, there's just no substitute for it, and it gives you the condition you need when you have to go for it in the 4th quarter, and it's just important. It's been a very important part of my game, is the condition and the running.
Confidence, belief in your ability to succeed, no matter what the attempt. If it's a forward pass or if it's a business challenge, Roger Staubach has always had that type of confidence. It's been one of his strongest character traits ever since the beginning of his life.
You have to have a lot of hard work to be successful at anything. And my off-season program really gives me confidence, because once I go into the season, I know I've worked hard, I've sweated a lot, I've put the hours into it, and it's going to pay off. There's just no substitute for hard work. You can have shortcuts and you have a good game and maybe get by on a few games. When the whole season's over, it's going to be based on how hard you worked, how you performed, not only during the season but in the off season.
And I believe that if I've worked hard, I've put a lot of time into it, it's going to help me conditioning-wise, but it's also going to give me the stamina I need and the confidence I need to be successful at what I have to do. So confidence does play a great role into my physical conditioning, believing that I've worked hard enough that I can produce. And when you've worked hard enough, good things will happen for you, and you'll win some close games when you might not have done so without that kind of conditioning.
Roger was born in Silverton, Ohio, just outside of Cincinnati in February of 1942. As a small boy, he played basketball at the neighbor's house across the street, baseball in his own backyard, and football in a nearby vacant lot. Typical of the way lots of small boys started their lives. But Roger, right there in his own neighborhood, developed a love for sports and competition that was to give direction and focus to the rest of his life.
Roger started his football career as a halfback on a 7th grade team that went 0-9. Not a very auspicious beginning for a future All-Pro, but typically the next year they turned it around and went undefeated. And Roger Staubach scored 17 touchdowns.
At Purcell High School in Cincinnati, Roger was all everything. President of the student body, prom king, and a star in football, basketball, and baseball.
I went to a very powerful high school. We had over 100 players that tried out for the freshman high school team, and I looked at all the lines and found out that the receiver line was the shortest. So I got in the receiver line and I became an end. My sophomore year, the head coach of the varsity team, Jim McCarthy, saw me as a freshman, and it was primarily what he saw in baseball, basketball, and football. He saw me play all 3 sports and knew that I had an influence on the other players, and and he saw my arm in baseball. He saw me throw the baseball, and he knew that I had a good arm, and he put the two together, the arm and the influence, and felt that I could be a quarterback on the reserve team.
During Roger's senior year, a pattern developed that survives even today. When he couldn't find an open receiver, he'd run with the football. He didn't pass for much yardage that year, but he picked up better than 500 yards on the ground. And so it was at Purcell High School that he got the nickname that survives even till today, Roger the Dodger.
I could have played professional baseball out of high school, but I didn't, and I wasn't sure how good I was in baseball, and I knew that I had to get an education, and I started to develop a great love for football. My senior year in high school, I had a very successful year as a quarterback, and I was recruited in college as a quarterback. I chose the Naval Academy with the opportunity to play baseball and football at the Naval Academy.
Roger was a sensational quarterback as a sophomore.
But the greater heroics Roger saved for his junior year, when the Middies went 9-1, losing only to SMU in the Cotton Bowl in Dallas during the regular season.
In the season of 1963, Roger Staubach won the Heisman Trophy. It's an award he still cherishes today, though it carries with it a rather painful memory.
I really did not know very much about the Heisman Trophy, and I was told by Coach Harden that I had a very good chance at it. Everyone refers to it, even as a professional player, no matter how much you've accomplished, they refer to you as a former Heisman Trophy winner. So it was a great individual, glory for me, but as I mentioned at the Heisman Trophy dinner, I would have liked to have carved it into 44 pieces for our team, because if you don't have a successful team, you're not going to win it, and the quarterback is part of that. The other ironic thing was that year, it was such a great season for us, and I received the news 3 days after John F. Kennedy was assassinated, and he was very, very close to our football team. He was at a lot of our practices, and the Army-Navy game was called off, and then it was replayed on his behalf. So it was through the tragedy of that event and winning the Heisman Trophy, I'll never forget that week. It was probably one of the most unusual and dynamic as well as tragic weeks in my athletic career.
Roger stayed at the Naval Academy for 6 months after graduation to coach the plebe football team. It was during that time that he was drafted, both by the Dallas Cowboys of the NFL and the Kansas City Chiefs of the AFL. Roger didn't dicker or deal. He simply accepted the best offer and decided right then if he was going to play professional football, it would be with the Dallas Cowboys.
What Roger Staubach has become as a football player is a matter of history. The list of his achievements as a professional quarterback would take hours to recite. He is a winner.
Roger Staubach is sustained in adversity as he is inspired in victory by his deep religious beliefs instilled in him by his parents. He's an enthusiastic member of the Fellowship of Christian Athletes. Roger believes that through the FCA he can pass along some of his ideals, particularly to young people.
I think it's taken a little bit of pressure off me as an athlete because I've put my career in perspective to what my life is all about. And as great as this life is, and the ups, the downs, the good times, the bad times, there's more waiting for us. And I've been able to handle the losing moments, and I can handle the winning times, keeping them in perspective also to what life is all about and in the framework of my Christian faith. So, you know, number one, I try the very best I can because I think I have that responsibility to God, and number two is that the pressure isn't as great because I kind of keep my athletic career in perspective to what the whole Christian faith is all about.
Roger Staubach is a devoted husband and the father of 5 children. His family and his faith both come before anything else in his life. The values Roger treasures carry over into his off-the-field business life. As a partner in a commercial real estate firm, his competitive spirit and will to win have made him successful in this venture. But on Sunday afternoons, in autumn, to millions of Americans, he's the leader of America's team. He's a football player, an authentic, honest-to-goodness hero, a leader of men. It is the hardest kind of work. It requires great personal sacrifice. It demands the deepest kind of desire to lead, to inspire others, and to win. It is not a simple thing, the making of a quarterback. It is more than long hours of practice, of tedious physical conditioning. It is the willingness to give all there is to give to achieve greatness. It is wanting to win and knowing how to lose. It is the stuff of which legends are made.